So Roger Stone just had an interview with the Christian Post newspaper, and he stated he had a deep conversion with Jesus Christ during his persecution. And although he credits the late Billy Graham crusade he attended when he was younger, where he made a commitment to Christ, and more recently his son Franklin Graham, helping him grow deeper in the Lord, having a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ. He's staying faithful to the church of his baptism, the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. And his words are, even though I disagree with Pope Francis' left-wing politics, I think I should stay in the church and help reform it from within. Now, just a little caveat on that, I'm a political guy, try and keep it on my Rumble channel more, the politics. Sometimes it seeps through here when it affects the church, but I think a lot of times as political guys mix up some of Pope Francis's motives. I don't think he's a left-wing politician. I think he loves Jesus, and he loves the church, and he expresses it in a way that's different than Roger Stone or many conservatives think that he should express it. So, but that being said, I got to give props to Roger Stone, because a lot of times when these guys in politics and these conservatives that I like have a deep conversion with Christ, they leave the church. Sean Hannity comes to mind. He was he grew up Catholic, but he was a Catholic like me in name only. And then when he started reading the Bible, I think he started dating a born-again Christian girl, he left the Catholic faith. And so I just want to give props to Roger Stone. And if you're all wondering who the heck is Roger Stone, not everybody's political. So Roger Stone's been like a hardcore political operative for the Republican Party since like Nixon. I think he's like 70 years old, and he actually has a tattoo of Nixon on his back. The guy's like quirky, funny guy. He's just a real funny guy, and but hardcore Republican conservative. And if you remember during the primaries, when Hillary Clinton was neck and neck with Bernie Sanders to get the Democrat nomination in 2016, he tweeted out, WikiLeaks got some big news coming out about Hillary. So what came out was pretty damning to Hillary, and the Democrats and the Democrat-controlled mainstream media kind of turned it where people forgot what the emails actually said. I mean, the FBI said they're authentic, they're real, they're really Hillary Clinton's emails, but they turned everything around to get the focus, kind of like in New York City. If you've ever been to Manhattan, these guys, they played a shell game. They get you to look at the wrong shell, and you bet, $100 at the nickels underneath that shell when it's over here. But if you don't remember or you're not familiar with it, basically the emails said that she colluded with the head of the Democrat National Committee, I think Deborah Wasserman Schultz, I think at the time, and with CNN, and both these people admitted it and resigned. The host on CNN, I forget her name, African-American lady, real nice lady, but she's been a Democratic operative her whole life, and she just happened to have a show on CNN, and she got the debate notes and questions and gave them to Hillary so she could beat Bernie. And basically, it was clear. I mean, Bernie Sanders was pissed. It was clear they colluded and rigged the election. So she stole the election from Bernie Sanders. And that's probably why she lost, because, normally at the end of the primary, the opposition comes together to back the party's winner. Like Trump went against like 18 guys, and he was my last choice, but I picked him because he was pro-life. And she went against Bernie and like two other guys. And Bernie had a lot of supporters, and they would not support Hillary because she rigged the election, and everybody knew it. I mean, it was clear as day. But they turned everything around, the media and the Democrats, and pointed it at, well, how did Roger Stone know? Did he collude with Julian Assange from WikiLeaks? That was the guy who released the emails. So, long story short, Roger Stone's just like a quirky guy. He probably got a heads up somehow that this guy was releasing the emails, and he was like proud, just wanted to throw it in Hillary's face. But somehow they're trying to say like this 69-year-old guy colluded with the Russians to get this information, to steal Hillary's emails, to get it to Julian Assange. Julian Assange said Roger Stone had nothing to do with it. Russia had nothing to do with it. And if you're not familiar with Julian Assange, when he was like 16, the Democrats loved him because he hacked George W. Bush's emails. He hacked the Navy's Department of Navy emails. He hacked the Pentagon. And he had a lot of embarrassing things for Republicans. This time he just happened to hack, or somebody hacked for him, Hillary Clinton's emails. And now all of a sudden the Democrats made this guy, Julian Assange, enemy on number one. So they went after Roger Stone. 69-year-old man, no threat to nobody. They, the CIA and FBI rather had the CNN cameras, and they freaking raided this 69-year-old man's house at 2 a.m. with like 30 FBI SWAT agents, manhandled them and threw him in jail, and they sentenced him to like 4 years in prison in a COVID-infected prison, which would have been a death sentence. And he said that here was a guy, he always talked, always had a platform, and he said they took away he couldn't speak, they took away all his rights. He was looking at a death sentence, and he was so desperate that he just cried out to the Lord. And, in my life, I learned they're the most powerful prayers. The most powerful prayers aren't the eloquent ones that sound good. The most powerful prayers are, God, I am desperate. I have nowhere to turn. Please, dear Lord, forgive me for my sins. I am not worthy, but please, dear Lord, help me. I heard a preacher once say the guy, fixing the wires, 50 feet up a pole that falls has the most powerful prayer, And like they say, there's never an atheist in a foxhole. Some powerful prayers have been said in foxholes. I believe Roger Stone was scared, 69-year-old man. I was a teenager. I got thrown in jail on the weekends, a few times for getting in trouble. And that sucked. I couldn't imagine. I'm 56. I'll be 56, a couple weeks. I can't imagine being thrown in jail now. For 4 years, I would be so depressed. And so imagine being 69 with COVID. So this guy, he said he was so desperate. Nobody could help him. And he just prayed and prayed. And then God heard his prayer, and Donald Trump gave him a full pardon, and he didn't have to go to jail. So I just want to give him props that he still wants to stay in the Catholic Church. I disagree with his outlook on Pope Francis, but I'm glad that he's faithful to the church because, Jesus established one church, Matthew 16:18-19. It was one church he established. And, for 1,000 years, there was one church. And then the Orthodox broke away over stupid political reasons, but we're pretty much one church in our beliefs in the sacraments and the history of the church. And we all had succession back to the apostles with our bishops. And then 500 years later, in 1500, Martin Luther broke away, and just all chaos has broke loose, and there's like 42,000 different denominations. But Jesus prayed, Father, I pray that they will be one as we are one, so the world will know you sent me. This is how we're a witness to the world, when we're one, not when we break away. So I'm praying that the Orthodox come back, and I'm praying that the Protestants come back to the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, so the world may know that God the Father sent God the Son, Jesus Christ, to save them. And Jesus also gave another way that the world will know we were sent by Jesus, and Jesus was sent by God the Father. He said, love one another so the world may know I sent you. Love one another. I just heard a pretty powerful story from Rob O'Neill. Rob O'Neill was the SEAL Team 6 member that took out Osama bin Laden. And he was talking about the time Marcus Luttrell, the guy from Lone Survivor, great movie with Mark Wahlberg in it. True story about a Navy SEAL who survived just a horrible ordeal. But he was being protected by our Afghan friends, and the Taliban were trying to kill him. So whoever was close by was sent. So Rob O'Neill said there were SEALs, there were Marines, there were Green Berets, there were Rangers, and they were making their way trying to find them. And he said it's 120, just think about it, 120 degrees going up this really difficult mountain. He said guys were falling out. They had to get IVs because they were dehydrating. He said it was brutal. They're walking for miles, didn't sleep for days. And he said one of his teammates just sat down and said, "Whew, I'm done. I just can't go on, man." And so Rob O'Neill said, "Okay, then you're going to be the guy to tell Mrs. Luttrell her son died because you were too tired to go rescue him." And the guy's like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry." And he got up and he just pushed, and he had nothing left, and the Navy SEALs teach their men, the mind can do 10 times more than the body thinks it can do. So it was all mind over matter at this point. His body was shot. And he said to Rob O'Neill, "Please keep reminding me while we're doing this because my body just has nothing left." And they rescued Marcus Luttrell. So that's a good example of us Christians, Sometimes we want to give up. If you're a Christian dad and you want to give up your marriage, think about your son. Do you want to be the one who tells him, "Hey, the marriage is over because your dad was too tired to fight"? We need to stay faithful to Christ and receive his grace through the sacraments and through prayer, and just ask for the filling of the Holy Spirit every day so we can stay faithful to the one Holy Catholic Apostolic Church that he established, and to the one true God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And they will know we are Christians by our love for one another. God bless and stay Catholic.